Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead of them and their companies. I'm your host, Olivia Salmons, and in each episode, we'll uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving the future growth. Today, I'm joined by Luke Shillings, the founder of Luke Shillings Life Coach. A certified relationship coach, Luke guides individuals through some of the toughest relationship changes, rebuilding identity, trust, and connection in the aftermath of betrayal. Luke, welcome to Founders Future. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. For the sake of for anybody, I'm a relationship and infidelity recovery coach. I help people overcome betrayal after they have experienced that in their relationships. Ultimately, helping them find chaos, oh, that's wrong, clarity in the chaos that ensues following one of the most painful experiences of their lives.
Thank you so much for joining me, Luke. I'm super excited to dive into more to your journey. So typically I do like to start at the beginning. So if you don't mind taking me back to what it was you was doing before you jumped into the coaching world, and then from there, what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in many ways, jack of all trade is probably the best one umbrella label that I could give myself. I did a variety of things. I spent 16 years in hospitality and then moved into manufacturing, but I also had a variety of other jobs along the way, including building my own internet e-commerce business in the early 2000s. And then I owned my own pub, restaurant, bed and breakfast in like late 2008 to 2012. So quite a wide range of business experience, but also working for small companies and working my way from sort of the bottom to the top. I've always been one of those people who's gone the extra mile and given more than was expected, and that's usually worked in my benefit, and has certainly set me up with lots of useful tools and skills to really help me build my business in what I finally can describe as my passion.
Beautiful. I love it. Passion is purpose. So we're here for that. And
Absolutely.
great that you've had, like, as you say, a lot of experience in business because a lot of coaches and founders kind of step into the entrepreneurial role without having that experience. So do you find that really aided you, like, in the startup process as you
I
became
think
an
it makes a
entrepreneur?
huge difference. And you're absolutely right. I've met many coaches over the years, and many are driven by passion. You know, there's often a life experience that has occurred or something that they've dealt with throughout their life, and they turn that energy to a desire to help others. And I'm no different in that context. However, that desire to help doesn't necessarily run in line with, you can have the coach hat over here and you can have the entrepreneur business person hat over here, and they're quite different
Mm.
actually. But understanding like both components has been really beneficial and something I find both fascinating. I'm equally motivated by that as I am the
Yeah.
desire to help the people that I help.
Love it. Yeah, as you say, having your zone of brilliance in the coaching and then also having the great understanding and love for like operations and the back end of things as well is always a great motivator. So let's dive into the business a little bit more then to see is how you actually help people. So walk me through, like who would you say is your ideal customer? Like who, if you could pick out of a hat, you would love to work with every day of the week? And then from there, how is you help them and how do you support them?
Yeah, okay. So I suppose the most obvious link is they have been betrayed. They have been in a long-term relationship and their partner has stepped out of that relationship through the form of an affair or some other betrayal.
Mm.
And ultimately, I'm helping those people make clear decisions about what it is they want to do with their future. First, it's that decision as to whether they decide to stay or leave the
Yeah.
relationship, and then ultimately help walking them down that path to rebuild their identity and regain their sense of purpose so that this doesn't have to be the uncomfortable or unpleasant dirt mark or tar stain on their life. It doesn't have to be something that defines them. They can free themselves from it and really make a difference in doing so. And I love helping not only them find that journey, but seeing the variety of paths that people take during that journey as well.
Yeah, amazing. It must have, like, as you say, great side of fulfillment as well when you can
Oh, huge.
really see that you've actually made a difference in somebody's life and help them move through something. So, did you actually work with women and men as well?
I do, yes. So I
Yeah.
work with both men and women. I suppose if I was to take my typical client, it would be somebody in their mid to late 40s, early
Mm,
50s, usually have been married for some number of years, have children. Obviously the breakdown in the relationship has
yeah.
occurred, usually as a symptom of the betrayal, and they're at this junction in life where they have got to this point living life the way they thought they knew how,
Mm.
and this has kind of thrown everything up, and they're now looking for some clarity and something
Yeah.
to focus on for their future.
What would you say like is the typical issue that people come to with like off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, really, it's trust.
Yeah.
That's what it always comes down to. Betrayal can manifest in many, many different ways, and we can use the words like infidelity or affair, but they can mean different things to different people. It can
Mm.
be everything from an inappropriate text message
Yeah.
conversation, the use of other online services, or a full-blown 10-year affair with kids in a separate family, and everything in between.
Yeah.
Really the full range. So it means different things to different people. Um, but ultimately, it's that belief that you knew what somebody else was going to do and how they were going to show up. And then they break that trust, they break that belief, which leaves you not only questioning their capacity, your partner's capacity to maintain their integrity and live in line with their values, but it really brings into question your own judgment of that other person,
Yeah.
which is probably the most shattering part of the whole experience.
Yeah, 100% looking within yourself and thinking you've done something wrong in a situation that realistically hasn't got much to do with you at all. You know, you're just a
Exactly.
complete bypass of the product. Amazing.
Exactly.
So typically then how long would you say like people tend to work with you, or is it just more of a depending on the situation and the person kind of approach that you take?
So I work with everybody for a minimum of 3 months,
Okay.
and some people continue on for longer than that, and some people we part ways at that point. And there's a variety of support packages in place, but really the main focus is to help stabilize the storm, make sense of the situation, and then lay out a path as to where we're going to go and walk that path together in some sense. And 3 months is roughly, loosely speaking, the optimum time frame to be able to
Yeah.
achieve those things, make a meaningful difference, and really help them feel like they've got confidence in what they go on to do
Amazing.
beyond that.
Amazing. And you mentioned that there's obviously programs that they can continue with afterwards. So I'm assuming you have like a one-to-one like level of approach. Do you have a group offering as well that you can?
Yeah, so it's actually a hybrid offer of one-to-one
Okay.
and group. So it's one-to-one group and community, really. So
Amazing.
the one-to-one is the core thread that exists throughout the initial 3 month. And then in that is also a community membership I call the collective, which includes monthly group coaching, additional workshops, resources, and obviously to be able to connect with other betrayed spouses to who they're not having to explain everything to. It's like these
Yeah.
people already get it, which really makes a huge difference. And then there's the opportunity to continue on with access to the collective component beyond the one-to-one journey.
Yeah, amazing. As you say, the community that camaraderie that you're not alone in a situation and you can even like make build new relationships with people that, as you say, trying to build trust again. It's nice
Absolutely.
to have support from someone that's outside of your close
It's a
circle.
really isolating experience.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shame, but on both sides. Both if you're the person who has betrayed, then naturally society is going to judge you in some way, and I'm not sure that's always helpful, but it is generally speaking what happens. But even as the betrayed partner, you also feel shame because it's how could I have been so stupid? How did I not see this coming? How did I not notice? And that makes it also quite frightening to really open up to people close to you, your friends, your
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, 100%. It's like looking in a mirror sometimes when you're speaking to people so close and you have taken it so personally as well. So with such a sensitive subject, I'm intrigued to see how you go about acquiring customers. So in terms of like channels or methods, where are you finding most effective for yourself?
So for me, it's been my podcast. And I have an audio only podcast. It's called After the Affair. And I think it works most effectively because it can be consumed while you're walking the dog, while you're at the gym, while you're driving to work. It's me in your ear, helping you with both practical insights and tools, but also just a safe space where you can feel like you're not alone and there is hope. And that has been really the primary source of leads, in all honesty, throughout the last few years. And it really, it solves the know, like, and trust element, even though the time scales that I found vary hugely. So sometimes somebody can discover the podcast, binge listen to a handful of episodes, and I'm speaking to them the next day and working with them the next week. Other times they've been listening for 2 years and or
Yeah.
3 years, and I've not heard of them. They're not on my database. They don't exist as far as I know. And then all of a sudden, bang, there's been that one moment, that one call to action, which they've probably heard 50 times before, but for some reason it just connected, and that's it. It becomes a no-brainer for them. And then it's just making sure that the details, the dots connect, and we can then take it forward.
Yeah, as you say, and it's all about the key, I suppose, to great marketing is always being top of mind. So as you say, whether it is 2 years they've been paying attention and listening to your voice, or it is one episode and they're like, oh my God, this man can really help, and I know exactly what it is that he's going through, you know. So such a great way from there. You obviously mentioned that that comes with inconsistency, I guess, in lead flow
Yeah,
sometimes.
it can
So,
do.
yes. So
Yeah,
how do you
so
go about
I don't
combating?
feel like I often have the definitive lever that says input
Yeah,
to output ratio, which I know is probably is quite common in this kind of thing. So if I think of the podcast as being, that's the place in many ways I want to point everybody to, because it solves the
mm,
no, like, and trust. So when they do get to the point of making a decision about conversion, about working together, there's no question
yeah,
in their trust in me. Like that is, it's never on the table, which is really good. I've played around a lot with Instagram and different sort of DM strategies and even sort of short-term ad campaigns, and I found that that is more challenging at the conversion stage. Now, obviously there are lots of factors at play there, but so I still feel that even though I have my podcast following, I have my Instagram following, and then I have really I suppose, my subscriber email list. They're, I suppose, like the
yeah.
three kind of buckets, if you like. Really, they're all sort of pointing to the podcast, and then the podcast is to the discovery call, and then discovery call to
Nice.
conversion. But yeah, the consistency can fluctuate as a
Yeah.
consequence of that.
Yeah, but at least you're trying other attempts, you know, to really combat that. And as you say, driving them more towards the podcast, because as you say, it's great rapport. People trust you, they know you, they
Oh,
like you.
for
It's got all
definite.
them three things.
Yeah.
One thing that we actually use that works really well for us when we're running ads across like Meta, mainly for us,
Mhm.
is something called a short form funnel. So basically the same thing, but you have like a reel beforehand, and then you can really switch it to your landing page. So it helps really build that know, like, and trust factor with
Yeah.
cold traffic. Again, just maybe a tip that can really help that.
Yeah, I mean, something we've been trying more recently
Yeah.
is actually having like a VSL.
Yeah,
So sort
same
of going
system
through
kind of
that
thing.
route. So sort of trying to sort of warm the audience up, or really help connect with them through
Mm,
reels and carousels and a combination of content on Instagram, and then linking that through VSL, and then back to ultimately making some
yeah,
either DM or direct reach out for a conversation about, working together.
yeah,
But
awesome.
like anything, and in many ways, I still feel there's a bit of a sometimes not run before you can walk, like element. Like I and also, like, although I love structure, I do like structure. I like process, and I like systems. The I also like relinquishing control to an extent as well. Like, and I quite like uncertainty. I like the unknown.
Interesting.
Probably why I'm sat here.
A risk taker is where my mind went
Yes,
with
yes, a risk
that.
take. I mean, I think there's a lot to be taken from
Yeah,
uncertainty.
I
I think we
agree.
try and control things, but in doing so, we filter out a lot of possibilities. And
Hmm.
not everything's going to be for us, and that's fine. But if you don't look through the doors, you don't know what you're going to see.
Exactly. It's like teaching a child how to eat. If you don't, have you ever tried it? How do you know if you don't like it? So you might as
Exactly.
well give
Yeah.
everything a go and then change your mind afterwards. And then, so Luke, are you still a solopreneur at the moment as well, or do you have a
Yes.
team that are helping you out on
No.
the
So
back
no.
end?
Technically, I'm a solopreneur. I use virtual resources,
Nice.
sort of VA, bookkeepers, things like that. But in terms of, yeah, my actual core business, it's just me.
Cool. And then I suppose then what are the plans moving forward for yourself then as you look to scale? What do the next 6 to 12 months look like as you
Yeah,
move?
so the next 6 to 12 months is really focused on stabilizing the monthly recurring revenue model,
Yeah.
so that I've got that more consistent base. So I've been having some really good months, and then some really not so good months, and everything in between. The business is pretty stable overall, and certainly very established in that context. But given my sort of bigger growth plans, then I would really want to sort of like cement that foundation
Yeah.
so that I can then move to the next step. But it's interesting. My driving motivator is not really the revenue or the profit specifically, at least not in a currency context. It's about reach and impact.
Mm.
I love to run. That's one of my favorite things to do recreationally. And as a consequence of running, I happen to keep good cardiovascular health and a very low resting heart
Tends to
rate. And
happen.
like
It tends
it's
to
like a
happen.
natural positive byproduct of
Yes.
enjoying running. And I kind of see my business the same way, because there is the passion led, but there's also the structure and the logic.
Mm.
But because it's something like the helping people, seeing those conversions, reaching more people, and knowing that I'm making an impact, that is by far the driving factor. And if I do it well, then it has the natural byproduct of, generating a healthy, sustainable business for which can create, well, all kinds of things for me. But
Exactly that. That's and a beautiful way to put it as well. As you say, running, you do it because you enjoy, but the byproduct is you have a very healthy body and healthy lifestyle,
yeah,
and you should think your business is the same thing. If you can reach and
exactly.
help as many people as possible, everything else will follow suit. And it's surprising how many people don't think like that. And I think that's why the coaching world is maybe becoming a little bit saturated at the moment because it is not everyone's doing it with the right intentions or integrity behind them.
Agreed.
So it's so good to hear. And then, so in terms of like really generating a consistent lead flow so you can scale and move forward,
Mhm.
where are you finding the biggest challenge for yourself?
I think a lot of it is down to, if we think about the podcast specifically, the people are buying into me
Yeah.
because I am the person, but then there is only one of me. So there are limitations, at least in the current format, in terms of how far I can push that. But that's okay. I mean, I've been evolving and changing over time. I started out purely one-to-one, and then I introduced group, and then I introduced hybrid and community, and like so the model evolves to suit
Yeah.
the different stages as my business grows and expands. If I fast forward, I would like to be able to picture bringing at least one other person, if not two other people, onto the team. I don't think I ever want what I would define as a big team, but having somebody else that could be also build a sense of trust as my kind of right hand person in some way, I think that would be fantastic. It's definitely, if I think about the actual sort of conversion conversation, obviously that's very heavily dependent on me.
Mm.
And I think because of the unique nature of my niche, that people are incredibly emotionally vulnerable, and they trust is the number one thing that has been broken. So trying to bridge that gap between me being available to do all of the conversion and having somebody else step in and play a part in
Yeah.
that role is something that, if I'm honest, uncomfortable with. But
I can
I
understand.
recognize that it's a bridge that I'm probably going to have to cross at some point in the future.
No, I fully understand. And also, like, it is your baby as much as you
Sure.
wanted, you need someone to really care about it as well. And obviously, the fulfillment side of it. One thing that comes up a lot again is obviously for us as well here at Closers, we tend to hire people that were previously customers because they've been through the experience, they know exactly who you are, how you work, and they have that same level of respect and trust that they can then implement onto other people. So I don't know, maybe that's an avenue you could try if you was looking to, as you say, bring on someone else that could help, at least they
Yeah.
know your process,
Yeah.
which is so important. And then Luke, I have one final question to ask you before we log out. So if you could go back in time to a younger version of yourself, and you could only leave yourself with one piece of advice moving forward, something you know now but that you didn't know then, what would you say to yourself?
If I think back, I'm going to wind the clock back, say 10 years. And at that particular point in my time in my life, I wanted to try and control all of the outcomes. I was trying to make plans for every eventuality. And even though it seemed logical and rational at the time, because it meant that I was prepared, what it meant in reality was I was using all of my resources on things for which 95% of them never materialized. It was
Mm.
really ineffective. And what I've learned more recently is even if I'm terrified of something or I'm uncertain of what's going to happen next, actually, I find that quite a draw, like an internal draw. I feel like I've connected. So I think I would say trust that fear, that anxiety, and rather than running away from it, step into it because you
Yeah,
just don't know.
yeah, I love it. And such a powerful way to end the podcast. So thank you so much. And
Oh,
Luke,
you're welcome.
where can our listeners reach out to work with you, connect with you, and just check
Yeah.
out all the great stuff
So,
that you're
and there's two key places. Obviously, we've spoken about the podcast. That's called After the Affair. You can find it on all of the major platforms or my website, which is lifecoachluke.com.
Amazing. And thank you again for joining us. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to go and check out Luke and all the great stuff that he's doing. And do not forget to subscribe to Founders Future via wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to hop on a call with one of our team and discover how we went from zero to $30 million per year in less than 3 years. But until then, keep on climbing and we will see you on the next one.